have a little lunch and learn, to talk about who we are and what we do and why public funding isn't enough. Clearly, if public funding was enough, there would be no Detroit Public Schools Foundation. So what we really do is bridge that gap from the public money that the district does receive, and we focus on the private dollars that are out here. Some of our partners are on the line, foundation partners, corporate partners, and individuals also give to the foundation. So we bridge that gap for our students, not only our students, but for our families and our educators. So first slide, please. So for those that don't know me, who in the heck is Pamela Moore, right? So that's my picture there. It's my last headshot. But I think most importantly, I am the daughter of Betty and William Edwards. My parents are deceased, but they were role models. They were generous people. They were kind people. They were wonderful parents, and they took very good care of me. And I think all of us are fortunate if we have good parents. And I did, I had good parents. And so I owe really my life to them. And I would say I also owe my life to Detroit Public Schools. I'm a native Detroiter. I'm an East Sider. I still live on the East Side. I'm not sure what it would take for me to move off of the East Side of Detroit. But I am Hilger Elementary, I am Whitney Young Middle School, and I am Cass Technical High School. And Detroit Public Schools really prepared me to sit here in front of you today and all the many roles and responsibilities that I've had. I credit Detroit Public Schools. It was the largest district when I came through. It continues to be the largest public district in the state of Michigan. So I went away to school. Didn't do so well. I was too young and immature to be away from adults. Came back home, went to work, and my employer paid for education, paid for your education. And it did not have to be work related. So I went back to school, and I tell children now, you don't have to be pressured about graduating in the 12th grade and getting admitted to some 4-year university. There are a lot of pathways out of the 12th grade to post-secondary education or training, vocational training. There are a lot of different pathways. I worked full-time and I went to school at night. It took me a long time to get that bachelor's degree in finance, financial markets and investments. I wanted to be a stockbroker, but then when they told me it was all commission-based, I said, well, I think I don't want to be a stockbroker. I went back and got my MBA from Wayne State. And so I don't think anyone is really more Detroit than me, right? I was educated here, I was born here, I still live here. And I really attribute Detroit for my success. Career-wise, I was in healthcare research. I got that education from the Barbara Karmanos Cancer Institute, which used to be the Michigan Cancer Foundation. And then I went on to work for Kwame Kilpatrick, Dave Bing, and Mike Duggan. That accounts for all the gray hair. My last stint at the city with workforce development, I gave birth, me and to Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation, which is the public workforce agency. And those that know me personally know that I love to travel. I am a dancer. I'm a dance instructor. I used to compete years ago, and I have a need for speed. I used to have a motorcycle. I love anything with a fast engine. That's the other side of me. So enough about me. You are here to hear about the DPS Foundation. Next slide. So what is the Detroit Public Schools Foundation? We are a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We were founded by Jerome Watson, Elliott Hall, and Leroy Ritchie. Two of them continue to be on our board. Jerome Watson was our past chair, and Elliott Hall. They are currently still board members. They created the foundation in 2002, filed the articles of incorporation, but no money came to the foundation until 2009. And the district was under state control at the time, but money was given to the foundation. They hired a president, Chicana Johnson. She hired a team. and fundraising began. Not a lot of fundraising, but fundraising nevertheless. So now we are under a service agreement with Detroit Public Schools Community District. It's negotiated every year. We take a 10% fee on all of the grants that we oversee. We do traditional fundraising. We just had our Champions of Education signature event last Wednesday. I think we're still recuperating from that, but we lift up community partners that do great work with us. So we lifted up DTE and the DTE Foundation that helped us raise the dollars for Connected Futures, which was the big initiative that funded all of the tablets, all of the internet, and all of the technical support for our students last year. So again, we do traditional fundraising, and I'll talk about some other events that we do throughout the year, but we also grant dollars to the district. So once we go out and say Jason Paulatier gives us a grant, we re-grant those dollars to the district, and we make sure that whatever that funder needs for us to be in compliance to receive that grant, we make sure that that report happens. Maybe they want metrics, maybe they want data, they want that investment evaluated, and we work closely with the district to make sure that that report happens on time. Again, most of our work is serving as fiduciary over these program grants. Fundraising, traditional fundraising is a tough road, but we still have so many committed partners and donors and individuals that love this district. But my goal is to get our alumni on board with the work that we do, because there are many of us walking the face of the earth, and I need them to plug in to the Detroit Public Schools Foundation. We have a 28-member volunteer board. It's headed by Beth Correa from Flagstar Bank. She's our new board chair almost a year ago. Beth took the helm. Our mission is to create opportunities for our children, for our students, make sure our families are okay, and make sure our teachers have the resources that they need as well. The vision is that every child graduates from this district prepared and armed with the resources and the skills that they need, whether they're going to college or whether they're going right into a career. Our priorities, which were established in 2018, include literacy and early childhood education, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, also known as STEAM, career pathways, where we have work-based learning opportunities for our students to go out and get familiarized with maybe the industry that they're interested in. I always tell young people, if you can find, if you can figure out what you're interested in, where your passion lies, and what you're good at, if you can figure that out, you'll never feel like you dread getting up in the morning and going to work. If you can find those two things. And so we like to expose our children to these growth industries out here, these jobs that are in demand. So now you're hearing my workforce development. I got my workforce development hat on because we want our children to go away and explore the world, but we also want them to come back and give back to the communities that they were born and raised in and educated in. And then last, experiences beyond the classroom. We care about what happens when the student goes home. We care about what happens outside of that classroom. And COVID really magnified that for us. But things that we fund, we have also mini grants, which I didn't mention. We give them out 3 times a year. If you're an employee of the district, you can apply. It's a competitive process. Or if you're a nonprofit that partners with the district already, so you have your MOU with the district, you can also apply for dollars from these mini grants that we give out. And so we focus on these priorities, which are in alignment with many of the priorities of the district. But they're small grants, but oftentimes they're to pay for these things beyond the classroom. So it could be the robotics team won the local competition and they need to go to Kentucky to compete in the national competition. So they need t-shirts, they need transportation, they need hotel stay, they need the teachers to go as well. So those expenses, those are the kinds of grant applications that we get. We've got a camp, Camp Burke Shirley. It's in Gregory, Michigan. It hasn't been open since COVID, but our children go for a summer experience and learn all about STEM at Camp Burke Shirley. We raise money for scholarships every year. Our Detroit College Promise, not to be confused with the regional chambers scholarship program. Our scholarship program is for DPSCD students only. And every year we raise money. In August, we gave out 52 scholarships to our deserving students who are going everywhere from community colleges to HBCUs to Ivy League schools. So we have in our students, when you talk to some of our students, you understand the genius, you understand that our students are thriving, our students are resilient, they have been through a lot. And I'll talk about that in just a moment too. So next slide. So just to give you some sense of who we are, how big we are, how small we are, how we grow, how we expand, how we handle really these unforeseen initiatives. So I joined in 2016, small organization. We were just coming out of state control. The district had been handed back to the citizens. We had elected the school board. They had hired Dr. Vitti. And so Dr. Vitti came in 2017. Dr. Vitti is on our board, Alicia Merriweather. So Dr. Vitti, for those that don't know, is the general superintendent. Alicia Merriweather, deputy superintendent, is on our board, as well as Angelique Peterson Mayberry. She is an elected official on the school board. She is also on our board of directors. So once they came, the phones started ringing. The phones were not ringing when I took this job. And so early on, the district had us handle some of the initiatives, some of the unforeseen things that were happening at the district. The water hydration station project, we found lead and copper in the waters, in the drinking fountains, and in the school, in the water in the schools. There wasn't money to pay for these hydration stations. We went out to the philanthropic community. They wrote checks. We got these hydration stations. We have good, clean drinking water in the schools. So that big number that you see in 2019, that's Connected Futures. We handled the bulk of the 23 million that was raised for Connected Futures. Some of the dollars went directly to the district and did not flow through the foundation. And again, now we're kind of getting back to our normal operating budgets, but we never know. COVID has threw a monkey wrench in everything. I'm going to talk about the federal dollars and state dollars that are coming to the district in just a bit. But this is just a snapshot of where we've come from in 2016 when I joined. And that small number out to the right is the percentage that we take for administrative fees. So we didn't take an administrative fee on Connected Futures. It was a crisis. We knew COVID was going to close the schools, and we knew these babies needed a tablet because they didn't either have internet or they didn't have a laptop, and you couldn't access the curriculum on your phone. So that was the reason that we raised that money for Connected Futures. One of the first districts in the nation to do it. I got phone calls from other districts all around the country saying, how in the world did you raise $23 million in probably less than 2 months? The answer is because we have very, very generous corporations, foundations, and individuals in Southeast Michigan and Detroit. So that is a snapshot. Less than 10% goes towards paying staff salaries, our overhead, our general operating support. The district gives us space to operate. We are in the Fisher Building with the district. Next slide. So our organization chart, I always say we're small but mighty, small but mighty. So Beth Correa, our board chair from Flagstar Bank, those committees off to the right are board committees. We have a general counsel on staff. We contract out our communications and marketing services. Our administrative assistant holds us together. Our director of development does all things with fundraising and grant writing. Our chief administrative officer does our finances and budgeting. We are looking for a director of programs. We think we're about to make a decision, but if you know someone good, please send them our way. We have a development associate that helps out our director of development. and all things with fund development. Our grants accounting specialists, and all of these folks are on the line in case you have any questions for them. Maria does everything with our grants, tracking, our budgets. She works closely with the district. She works closely with the funders, making sure that we are in compliance once we receive those dollars. And then corporate facts, we use them to help us create our financial statements. They help us with our audit. Every year we have an outside auditor as well. And we have clean audits. We do not mismanage funds. We are responsible stewards of your money. That is important because the district, people like to remind me of some history that the district has. Let's not always look in the rearview mirror. This administration, I'm going to talk about some of their accomplishments, is responsible. They are fiscally responsible, and your dollars are used how they are appropriated and how they are supposed to be used. Next slide. So these are, and I've already mentioned some of our really notable initiatives and programs that the district, either the district has allowed us to manage. And so I'll start at the bottom with the Ford Resource and Engagement Center. So when I came on board, it was right after I came to the foundation. Ford Motor Company Fund, Sean Wilson, who continues to be on our board, he was with Ford Motor Company Fund at the time. They came and approached us and said, we'd like to put one of these resource engagement centers in one of your schools. They had one over in Southwest Detroit. So it's located now in Fisher Upper on the far east side, an area that hasn't seen a lot of investment, where any family can go in and get free services, resources. Gleaners is there for distributing food. You can get tax services, free tax services. You can get workforce development services. You can get free legal advice. And when we were open prior to COVID shutting us down, and you can get those services now, it's by appointment only. But prior to COVID, we had Fresh Saturdays. Children could come in and get haircuts, free haircuts. You could take a dance class, just fun. We had food, things for the family. We want to get back to that. We want COVID to go away. It is a wonderful resource center on the far east side, East 7 Mile, not far from Gratiot. Then I talked about the water hydration station project, brought in $2.4 million, which we managed. W.K. Kellogg Foundation funds parent engagement work, $3.6 million to date. Let me tell you how important this work is. We have a parent academy where our parents can go to school, they can take classes, they can earn credentials, they can get workforce development services, they can learn how to cook, they can learn how to sew, they can learn how to do taxes, they can learn whatever they want to learn. There are classes all over the city. This work is led by Charlonda Buckman and the Family and Community Engagement team at the district. Also within this grant is a kindergarten boot camp for the babies that are about to enroll in DPS CD. We bring in the parents. It's an 8-week program over the summer. Tells you all about the district, what we expect from you, why we expect the child to show up every day and why that's important. Count day, all those things. We just had count day, why those things are important to your child's learning. And then the last piece is the parent-teacher home visit. We train teachers to go into the homes prior to COVID and see what's going on. Maybe if that child is having difficulty in the classroom, there's a reason. And maybe we can talk with the parent or the caregiver to figure out how we can help, how the team can help, how the parent can help, how the school can help, how the teacher can help, maybe how the social worker can help. Are the utilities on? Is the whole child okay? The district talks about the whole child. That means we want to be sure that child is okay in the classroom. We want to be sure that child is okay when that child goes home. So that parent engagement work has been critical, especially since COVID has closed the schools. So we do those teacher home visits on the porch. You know, when we distributed all of the tablets, and at one point, 25% of the students weren't signing on. The FACE team went and knocked on doors and said, you know, we noticed little Timmy hasn't signed on all week. Is there something we can do? Do you need help with anything? Basic needs. We want to be sure that the utilities are on, that children have clothing, the first thing the district did when COVID hit in 2020 is said we have to make sure that children are eating. There were pickup sites where you could come and pick up food. We even made delivery deliveries. We made sure children had clothing in the wintertime. We have a large homeless population of students. We care about that child all the time. And then Connected Futures, I've talked about that already. So really good work. We have some wonderful partners and funders that help us do this work. And again, I hope you are getting the sense that what we do is critical. Next slide. So we currently manage 71 grants right now, but I just wanted to just lift up 4 for no particular reason, just wanted to let you know how diverse some of these grants are. So we have a horticulture career pathways program. So what is that? It's from the Michigan Health Endowment Fund. It's a collaborative work-based training model rooted in a farm to school-based curriculum, preparing our students for higher education and a direct career pathway into horticulture, including urban agriculture, food science, and culinary arts. Who knew, right? So we not only are teaching our students, but we're also serving families and community members with access to free, fresh, healthy food. The Detroit Perspectives Project. This is from the Skillman Foundation. It provides rich, authentic, contextual text and experiences reflective of our students so that they may pursue justice, advance equity, and champion anti-racism for the purpose of building and sustaining inclusive communities in the city of Detroit. With all that has happened in the last 2 years, our children need to understand what equity and inclusion means. Our children need to see themselves when they read materials. They need to see themselves in their culture. And that is what that project is all about. Our school at Marygrove. It's a social justice and engineering focused program, which enables students to become critical thinkers so that, and community-minded citizens so that they can solve the complex problems of the 21st century. And I would say our problems are very complex these days. We had about 200 9th and 10th graders in the school last year, and each year we add an additional grade. So School at Marygrove is very special. And last, the Coaches Training Program. It's a Ralph C. Wilson Legacy Fund partnership. We partner with the Michigan High School Athletic Association to train and certify coaches and referee officials, our students and staff, to grow sports programs and talent pipelines to serve the district and Southeast Michigan. You know, there's a shortage. And so we always want our children to know where these demand industries, these growth industries and these high demand careers are. And so we bring those programs into the district. Next slide. So going back to our annual fundraising, we just had our signature event. It's always the first week in October. We do an end of year campaign. Again, in 2020 in December, we heard about our homeless students that didn't have permanent housing. They were outdoors. They were going from home to home. They didn't have proper clothing. We put that campaign out and the dollars rolled in. So that is what we do. We respond to the emergencies. We respond to the unforeseen things. The district calls us and we try to help in any way that we can. Hopefully when COVID goes away, I'm claiming that it's going to go away. We're going to have more board and partner hosted events. Normally we do that in the spring. And then we had our second golf outing, COVID or not, people are going to play golf. And I just love it. We had a sold out golf outing at TPC in Dearborn. It was lovely. So we will always have a golf outing. It's fun. It's a good way to, you know, because a lot of people don't want to come to the signature event. It's just, but you can get people to come and play golf. You don't even have to try that hard. They will come and play golf. And again, then we have special campaigns for special needs. Next slide. So let me just give you a little history. I'm going to go into the history of the district right now. So in 1842, who knew, right? The Detroit Board of Education was created. Enrollment peaked when I was there in 1966 with 299,000 students. But then desegregation policies of the 70s closed many schools, and then we had white flight, right? In 1994, the state authorized public school academies or charter schools. Children went into the charter schools. In 1999, the state took control. And then in 2005, the board was reinstated. They gave us back the district. And then in 2009, the state implemented the emergency management law, and many cities around the state were under emergency management. 59 schools closed. The deficit grew to 184 million. We lost 20,000 students. From 2009 to 16, state appointed emergency managers, they came and they left. They left us with a $617 million deficit. Over 200 schools closed. Since 2000, we experienced a 71% decrease in enrollment, and the district was returned back to the citizens in 2016. Well, thank you. So we elected our school board, and in 2017, Dr. Vitti was hired and took the helm in May to become the general superintendent. His contract has been extended, by the way, through June 2025. Since Dr. Vitti and his team have come to the district, let me just tell you a few improvements. Enrollment has increased. The curriculum was outdated. It's now current. Student achievement was starting to improve prior to COVID. We updated technology. Teacher recruitment and retention improved. Teachers, incoming teachers are now the highest paid teachers in the state of Michigan. That is a huge accomplishment. Leadership development was a big focus and continues to be a big focus. Student programming, we brought back arts and music, which went away when the state controlled the district. The district has been fiscally responsible. Let me say that again. The district has been fiscally responsible. The district fed over 1.5 million families during the height of the pandemic. We had 10,000 children enroll in summer school this past summer. But now in so many ways, we feel like we're almost back at the drawing board. We're now focused on the learning loss that was suffered due to COVID and the mental health issues that are due to COVID. We are the only district that is testing weekly for COVID. Masks are mandatory at DPSCD. And one of the good things that came out of COVID is now we have a virtual school. So for those families that are uncomfortable letting their children come back into school, we have a virtual school now. 2,000 children are enrolled in that school. Next slide. So just a bit about public funding. And this is not my expertise. I want to thank Jeremy Bedito for sharing these slides. Dr. Vitti has also shown these slides publicly. But Detroit Public Schools, so listen, I said Detroit Public Schools, not Detroit Public Schools Community District. Detroit Public Schools Community District was created after all of the state takeover and deficits and emergency management. Detroit Public Schools remains the legal entity that collects our taxes to repay the outstanding capital and operating legacy debt, which is to be paid off by 2027. So the foundation allowance, which is also known as per pupil funding, is currently $8,700 per pupil. It's up from $8,100. It's the largest increase in 20 years. So maybe $8,700 per pupil sounds like a lot of money. Well, Detroit actually remains at the floor of that calculation. We're the largest district in the state. And again, $8,700 is the floor. Traditionally, total funding comes from local property taxes, state funds, and federal grant sources. DPSCD gets substantial federal resources. However, the dollars are restricted and not for core education. Title dollars are given to schools with large concentrations of low-income students. That would be us. We currently have 50% restricted dollars, and those dollars, there's a lot that those dollars do not pay for, capital improvement salaries, and 50% are unrestricted. Other districts oftentimes have 80% unrestricted and 20% restricted. Districts like Dearborn, they collect taxes from rental and business properties. Well, they have Ford Motor Company in Dearborn, right? Lots of money going towards public education. Now the district is receiving $1.2 billion a one-time infusion from state and federal COVID relief funds, which will be used for personnel, technology, facility improvements. We were approaching the $1 billion price tag to improve and maintain our facilities. Things had gotten very bad because we didn't have public dollars that address capital improvements. COVID, personal protection equipment, cleaning and testing, nurses, and I think most importantly, the mental health services that I mentioned. So if you look at this, this chart, talks about the per pupil funding, and it also talks about these other surrounding districts. Next slide. I'm gonna show you specifically these districts. So look at these 20 districts that surround Detroit. They get $1,100 more than we do. Something's wrong with that formula. Look at Birmingham, Bloomfield, and Southfield at the bottom. They get $3,400 more. This is in the per pupil funding. Next slide. So that inequity alone, if we just got the additional 1,100, it would be an additional 54 million. If we got the additional 3,400, it would be an additional 169 million. Do you know what we could do with $169 million? Next slide, please. This is how we could use an additional $169 million. That 1.2 billion, that sounds like a lot of money, and it is. It's a one-time infusion. It's a one-time infusion for COVID relief. It's gonna go away in 2 years. It's gonna go away, and then what? We're gonna be, now our facilities will be better. Mental health services, we have nurses now in the schools. I mean, this COVID relief funding has absolutely made a difference. But when you get a one-time infusion, that really doesn't solve your problems long-term. How do you sustain the funding for these needs of the largest district? Dr. Vitti has not closed schools, because we know when you close a school in a neighborhood, it disrupts that neighborhood, and that child has to figure out how to get to the next school that could be 6-7 miles away. Detroit is 139 square miles. It's a big city. And so we've got to do something about how public education is funded. Next slide. So that is why we need you. I was told that about half of the participants today are alums. We need you to join our alumni campaign. We've got some fun stuff going on. Go to our website, dpsfdn.org. But for those that just want to become a partner, maybe you have family ties to the district. Maybe your mom was an educator. Maybe your dad worked, at the district. Or maybe you just care about children that are at Detroit Public Schools Community District. About 1/3 of Detroit children are at our district. Another 1/3 are at charter schools. And that last 1/3, they go outside of Detroit to go to school. So children are coming back to the district. Enrollment has increased under Dr. Vitti's leadership. But we've got so much work to do, so much work to do. Dr. Vitti, the board meeting last night, if any of you were tuned in, 60%, I believe, I hope I get this right, 60% of our 10th through 12th graders are not on track in terms of where they should be to graduate. We've got a lot of learning loss to make up. We've got a lot of mental health issues to deal with. Our children have lost grandma. They've lost Mr. Jones next door. COVID has devastated the city of Detroit. Stay connected with us through email, social media. Come and attend some of our events. We tend to have fun events. You should come to our events. And just spread the word. Stay connected to us. Connect us to some of your friends, and especially if you're an alum. I connected with a young lady in Washington, D.C., and her whole, village in D.C. are other DPS alumni. And so I'm going to get plugged into them, and we're going to get plugged into the alumni associations that already exist. There's going to be a weekend of fun for alumni in May 2022. Stay tuned. We have some very successful alumni walking around. We were just talking about how many gospel artists graduated from Mumford. Dietrich Haddon, the Clark sisters, the Winans, Fred Hammond, you know, Roz Brewer, the new CEO of Walgreens, Lily Tomlin. I mean, I could go on. We've got some very successful alumni that I wish would get plugged in to what we do and to understand the needs of these children. When I came through the district, there was nothing that I didn't have. I played every instrument. They said, little Pamela, what instrument would you like to play? Oh, let's see, the harp, the violin. I played all of it. They gave me a harp, they gave me a violin. I played all of it. We had sports, we had art, we got on buses, we went to hear the symphony. DSO, we were everywhere because the resources were there. The resources, and so we need your help. $20, be a monthly donor. $20 a month makes a difference. So I will stop there because I could go on, but I won't. I'll open it up to questions. I don't know if we have questions in the chat box, or if you want to unmute and you can just jump in. Or if you don't have questions, I'm for listening to me gab for 40 minutes. So any questions? Can raise your hand or just unmute. I don't know, can people unmute themselves, Maria?
Yep, go ahead and unmute Officer Hardy.
Oh, I just had a quick question on how do you become a monthly donor?
So go to our website or call Amy D. Weiss, but or just email me. But we can give you those instructors. But you can go to our website. Now the thing about online giving is there's always a fee anytime there's online giving, because that platform is going to take their fee. So we always recommend, and online giving, of course, is convenient for people. But feel free to send a check. We have a PO box because sometimes our mail gets lost in the Fisher building. But now we have a PO box for donations that come in through check. So whatever is best for you, whatever is convenient for you, we will work with you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Officer Hardy. Oh, she put the website in the chat box. Any other questions? Did I tell you anything that you didn't know? A lot of you don't have your cameras on, so I hope you learned something new. Any other questions? Because I can give you back your 15 minutes and then you can, go for a walk outside. Anyone? All right, well, stay in touch with us. Again, these children need you. The DPS Foundation needs you. Public funding is not enough for all of the issues and challenges that our children face, and the resources that they need. The public funding is just not enough. So I thank you all. If there are no more questions, enjoy this beautiful weather and hope to see you soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.